arrested or sued, and face extensive legal costs. Firearms Legal Protection provides uncapped legal defense for any member who uses a legal weapon in defense of themselves or others, providing members with peace of mind in these difficult situations by covering all attorney fees and other benefits. Use code EOTT at firearmslegal.com for a discount on all membership plans. Protect yourself. We'll protect you.
Shooter standby.
You hit the radio bullseye. And the home for everything Second Amendment, concealed carry, the latest gear, reciprocity, legislation, the right to self-protection. And it shall not be infringed. This is Eye on the Target Radio with your hosts, Rob and Amanda.
Hey folks, welcome to the show. This is your place for everything that is Second Amendment. Guns, concealed carry, fashion, all of that kind of stuff.
Except rifling, right?
Except rifling. There you go. So, as some of you know, I am headed for my day job retirement. I am 8 working days to go. Countdown is happening. And I am absolutely beyond excited. We'll just say. So there is that. So happy Palm Sunday to everybody. And
so does that mean that when you hit retirement, you're not getting out of your bunny slippers till 10 o'clock in the morning or something?
Well, some of them have soles that you can actually drive in. We're not.
But my pillow guy has those slippers that you could go to town in or something. I'm surprised he doesn't have a pair of like Western wear so you can go out on Friday night or something.
There is an absolute option of comfy shoes if you're not walking. I mean, if you're walking, you need shoe structure. But if you don't, let's just say relaxing.
I went to NRA years ago, and
Yep.
I got there late in the afternoon. We were setting up a booth, and so I wore my house slippers because I was just driving in the car.
You drove in them? So, yeah, they had
so
soles.
I walked
but
most of the day in these house slippers, and the next day I was pretty much crippled at that point.
There's a spot where we're old, and you do need structure to your footwear. But I have to say that even when I was young, I needed structure to my footwear.
It sounded like a good idea when it was happening. Just afterwards, it got...
It was not such a good idea. So, well, I have to say that I've spent the day today working on the rollout for the Concealed Carry Fashion Show. So I have not left my office. So comfy shoes have been the name of the game until it became show prep time. So there is that. I just want to say that this next week, the Concealed Carry Fashion Show tickets will be available online. We're rolling it all out. One of our feature sponsors is going to be Undertech Undercover, and I'm so excited to have that. We've lined up entertainment, and our feature speaker is going to be the DC Project. So there will be 4 or 5 gals from the DC Project on stage. Plus, this is so exciting. Kat Ainsworth, the writer, the author, she is going to model in the Concealed Carry Fashion Show. As is her little boy, Bo. So everybody who wants to see Bo in person, he's going to be strutting his stuff on the catwalk. We'll see how that goes. But it's all coming together, and it should be so fun.
Everybody has so much fun when we're in the back there. Everybody's trying to get their costumes together and make sure that everything fits and that, and then invariably somebody's not paying attention, so they're supposed to be in number 7 in line and they end up at number 11 or something.
Right, and it's always so much fun when you're on the outside going, okay, now we're introducing, no, we're not, hold on, switch, here we go.
Well, we're trying our best, but sometimes things...
Well, I think that's part of the
costume malfunction or something, or...
That is the absolute coolest part about the Concealed Carry Fashion Shows, is that everybody knows that... that it is amateurs doing it, and they're real gun people. So real gun people have real gun handling skills and have the need for concealed carry. And so they're not pretending to be gun people, they're gun people who are pretending to be catwalk models. And so there is so much of that. So Patrick Collins says he would like to model. Patrick, I'll put you on the list. So I've got a list. It is, as Rob said, it is an absolute ball. So whether you're in the audience or whether you are a model, it is an amazing
and it's funny, we show up there, we kind of hang this stuff on the walls and that, and they go through and pick out what they got to have. And the one girl from when we're in Tommy Gun Warehouse,
okay,
I don't know what, she just picked out a whole outfit from, I think it was at Silver State Apparel or something.
Right, okay, yeah.
It looked like $1 million on her. I mean, considering it wasn't the right size. It wasn't something she planned on. She just grabbed 2 or 3 things and put it together. It's like, it was unbelievable how good that.
Yeah, so her name is Emerald, and Emerald could amazingly put together an outfit. When we do fashion shows, like the NRA is a little more of a structured fashion show. We assign models, here's their gear, this is that. The Tommy Gun Warehouse, we've got a group of models, we've got a group of products that we're rolling out, and they just kind of come through like it's a store, and they pick something and say, I'm going to model this, and then they hand me the card and say, this is who it is, this is what they're modeling. So it's a different format for that, but it doesn't really matter. It is so much fun. So Rob Dude is topless. No, the world is not ready for that. So I do have to tell you about his hat. I get it. You probably need it under your headband.
The shine off my bald head is probably.
Oh, I thought he was saying you were modeling topless, and I was somewhat disturbed by that visual right there of all of that stuff. So, man, okay, distracted, squirrel. I don't know. Oh, I remember what the story I'm telling you. We had a fashion show that we were doing in Kent, Ohio. And Rob got to model a satchel or a man purse, if you will. And so he was like, okay, he'll be a sport about this. And we get there and he starts to do this thing. Unbeknownst to me, there was props. And so as he comes down the runway and he gets to the reveal of his gun, first he pulls out a flashlight. Then he pulls out some pepper spray. Then he pulls out a sandwich. Then he pulls out his firearm. By this time, the audience is fully engaged because when the sandwich came out, they were just done.
Well, look at me. You can tell I'm very lunch-oriented.
Very lunch-oriented. It is so much fun. But we are a countdown. Do you know when the NRA is happening? The NRA annual meeting. So 2 years ago, it was supposed to be in Nashville. Last year, it was supposed to be in Houston. Both years, it got canceled. The Houston one got canceled and shifted, and then that got canceled. So we are 3 cancellations into it, and now we're trying for number 4. And
you know, I love going to the NRA. We go to the thing. We go downtown and eat and meet the people.
Once again, very lunch-oriented. But no, it's you get to see, it is a show that's designed for the consumer. And so you get to see everything that is out there. All of the gun companies come and bring their stuff, and you get to see it and talk to people, and it's just pretty fun. It's fun.
And you can make up your shopping list for the Christmas is coming, right?
You can. You can. And we've been going to NRA for I don't know how long. I absolutely don't know how long we've been going, but I know that it was that in the 80s I ended up there and my suitcase didn't. So
right. I mean, the one that I remember the most was the 96 when we were lost in traffic and all the guys were trying to follow you across the.
Oh yeah, they were like, keep up.
Strips and everything.
That's Shirley Cook. Keep up is a line, right? And so, in one case, I turned and they missed it. So then the next thing you see them like bumping through a gas station over a strip, and away they go. They're.
The one guy's like, I have 5 different driver's licenses, and you're not getting away from me.
And another guy was like, when I was younger, I was a race car driver. I'm just saying. So I'm not saying we were not a menace to whatever town that was, but the statute of limitations is far surpassed, so we're in good shape. So no, the fashion show tickets will be available online this week. So watch my Facebook page, watch the Realize Concealed Carry Fashion Show page. We're gonna put it out there every place. So if you are going to NRA, we would love to see you on Saturday night. Join us, be in the audience, see the Concealed Carry Fashion Show, and meet some of the folks that you see and hear all over. So the podcasters and the YouTubers, those people are our friends, and we're going to rope them into into modeling. So we're going to have writers and video producers and all types of things that we will have in the Concealed Carry Fashion Show. So it is an amazing opportunity to see and experience some of the concealed carry items on real sized people, because that's one of the tricks to this whole thing. Is we're not putting model-sized models out there, we are putting human-sized models. So whatever it is that you're dealing with, are you too, what do they say? Too thick, too thin, too tall, too short, whatever that is. I'm a shape.
I got a face for radio.
Right, I'm a shape, whatever that shape is. Sometimes they consider it round, whatever. All of those things, you have to figure out how you're going to conceal with your type body, and we help you do that. So we'll be back right after this commercial break.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit ProjectChildSafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Shotgun with Charlie.
I'm Charlie Cook from Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Conversations in the car about gun safety, freedoms, and even a few laughs. Imagine you're in the back seat listening to an intimate chat with me and my passengers as we drive all around the country. Listen, watch, and subscribe to the Riding Shotgun with Charlie YouTube channel and podcast.
Grab your friends and head to Georgia to train with the Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant offers a unique approach to self-defense training, layering the first signs of danger, lethal versus non-lethal decisions, and even surviving the aftermath. They offer premier firearms training with a range master certified instructor and host the top minds in our industry. See the courses offered on thecompletecombatant.com. That's thecompletecombatant.com.
When people use a firearm in self-defense, they could be arrested or sued and face extensive legal costs. Firearms Legal Protection provides uncapped legal defense for any member who uses a legal weapon in defense of themselves or others, providing members with peace of mind in these difficult situations by covering all attorney fees and other benefits. Use code EOTT at firearmslegal.com for a discount on all membership plans. Protect yourself. We'll protect you.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl / mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.eyeonthetargetradio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.eyeonthetargetradio.com for Rust is Bad.
Okay, folks, we are back. And so when I asked Rob, what are we going to talk about in the history section, he said, I'm just going to wing it. So I'm going to toss him a curveball on the winging it part. We were talking about NRA and talking about NRA annual meetings. And one year, our father, so because as you know, well, today is National Siblings Day, and we are siblings, just in case, just for clarity for folks. So our father, at the NRA annual meeting, was asked by the Ruger Collectors Association to bring his collection to be displayed at the annual meeting. And so there is a whole section at the annual meeting that is clubs and organizations that show the history of some type of a gun or another. So why don't you talk about that a little bit?
Some of them are just gun clubs. Some of them are like collectors things for certain. I mean, the one year there was a guy that was just his collection was Enfield 22 training rifles. Mm-hmm. Who knew there was like 35 of them?
35 different variations of the same exact.
The one year, a couple years ago, we were there. Well, since they haven't had it in 2 years, it had to be more than a couple years ago. It was a couple years ago. There was a guy had a display of the Tommy guns that they used in the St. Valentine's Day Massacre, and where they originally were being shipped to and how they were taken from the mail.
So the whole history, in effect, he was doing the whole history of the 1934 Gun Control Act because he went into what caused it, what
the guns were first being sold to a foreign country. They were stolen from the mail and on their way to the foreign country, and then were used in the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. So it was kind of an eye-opening.
And you can spend like an hour in each one of these booths looking at it, before you even get to all the rest of the stuff. It's really great. I think one of my favorites was the guy who had the collection of holsters that it wasn't about the guns, it was about the holsters for the
P-38.
For the P-38s. And so there was black leather holsters and brown leather holsters and
different markings, different years, different everything, and some of them were extremely rare. There's only one or two known.
Right, and it was like, you talk about somebody who got into like picayune variations.
Well, it's one thing when you look at a gun, they write books about that. When you're looking at holsters, how many books are out there about leather makers and holsters and who bought what from the government?
And how can you tell? Because it's a piece of leather. So how can you tell that this is slightly different than that?
Well, they got little markings on them. It's a lot. That's one thing about the government, especially the European governments. They were very nitpicky about putting markings on everything. Mm-hmm. That's what a friend of mine the other day was showing me. He has a Springfield trapdoor rifle he had bought, and when he showed it to me, he thought it was just a regular old gun, but in reality, it was a very special little gun.
Okay, so tell us why it was special.
Well, most of them, when you find them, are 45-70. This one was a 50-70, so it was the very first year that it was built as a rifle and not just converted from a muzzleloader.
Okay.
And then, two, this one was built as a child's rifle for the, like West Point or one of the training academy type things. They only made 22 of them that year. And so it's a
22 total.
Right. They made 2,400 of them the following year, but this year they only made 22 of them.
Wow.
But considering they made like 187,000 full-size military rifles, there's always a very small amount of these cadet rifles that are available.
Okay, so that's so he bought it thinking that he had one thing, and then you disabused him of that notion and informed him that he had something else.
Right, and then I told him I was interested in buying it, so right away it's double in its value from what he paid for it. So Now we have to go to negotiate.
Now you got to negotiate, because if you want
Had
it,
I just kept my mouth shut, I might have been able to do it.
right? You're like, I want it. No, I really want it. No, but he's a friend, so you can't do that.
But
so you have to be.
And it's in really nice shape considering it's 155 years old or something like this. And it's got little initials on all the parts. Where Erskine Allen, who actually the Allen conversion is the guy who made the flip top action.
Okay.
So Erskine Allen actually was the guy who inspected this at the government facility and stamped all of his name and numbers all over.
So that makes it even more special.
The whole thing was really nice. It's like, he's like, yeah, I just bought. I was going to go deer hunting with it. I'm like, it's too nice to take to the woods.
And he's like, wait, why? Right? Why? So if it's instead of 4570, it's a 5070. Is ammo available for him to take it to the
You got to make
woods?
it yourself. It's okay. Easy. And I had enough stuff. I loaned him some stuff. He could make some bullets and shoot it and that. But
I had enough. I'm just gonna.
Well, the government used at the end of the Civil War. They used the 50-70 as the standard round until 1873, and then they went down in size to 45-70.
Okay.
The 50-70 isn't really as accurate as some of the bigger ones, the 51-40s and 50-95s and stuff like this that you see in the Winchesters and that. But it can be accurate, but it's still, you can get the longer brass. You just have to trim it down a little bit to make it work in the other one. And so it's easy enough to load, and it's fun to play with. And
that's pretty funny. So how long do you think the negotiations will be?
Oh,
did he buy it at a gun shop? Did he buy it at a gun show?
I think he bought it at a gun show, and he's one of these kind of guys who he gets bored easily. So by midsummer, before deer season gets here, he'll have sold it to me.
He'll have sold it to me.
So yeah, he just he gets bored easy and switches to something else.
Well, he shouldn't be this bored with this because it's got the novelty associated with it.
Well, it's only cool to nerds like me. To him, it's just it's a different.
No. But wouldn't it be cool to like historical places and museums and things like that?
Oh, probably would, but I'm not telling him that.
Okay. I'm only telling him so far. I'm only going so far with the information.
I'm working on buying this thing. I don't want to just open it up to everybody.
Okay. I get it. I get it.
You know, high bidder gets a whole new meaning when everybody is bidding on it. When there's only one or two people, high bidder is much easier to digest.
It's much more palatable. Is that what you're saying? Okay. So if you get this historic rifle from your, and I'm air quoting, friend, because at this point you're like, okay, well, I'm telling him enough to double the price so he makes good money, but I'm not telling him enough.
Well, I mean, it's a really cool little gun. I don't have it, but like I say, a gun collection with one gun is a gun. It's not a collection.
Okay. So this is going to round out your collection to two guns?
I mean, still, if I'm shooting one, I have a Remington rolling block that was built for the Navy. I shoot all the time, and I'm just going to continue to shoot it because it's a much stronger design, and I already know how it works. So.
Good. Right after this, John Petrolino will be with us.
Grab your friends and head to Georgia to train with the Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant offers a unique approach to self-defense training, layering the first signs of danger, lethal versus non-lethal decisions, and even surviving the aftermath. They offer premier firearms training with a Range Master certified instructor and host the top minds in our industry. See the courses offered on thecompletecombatant.com. That's thecompletecombatant.com.
When people use a firearm in self-defense, they could be arrested or sued and face extensive legal costs. Firearms Legal Protection provides uncapped legal defense for any member who uses a legal weapon in defense of themselves or others, providing members with peace of mind in these difficult situations by covering all attorney fees and other benefits. Use code EOTT at firearmslegal.com for a discount on all membership plans. Protect yourself. We'll protect you.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3 and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio, and I am proud to join Amanda Suffolcool and all the 50 women, one from each state, in our grassroots efforts to protect the Second Amendment as delegates of the DC Project. Grassroots organizations like the DC Project run on donations, so please consider donating to our GoFundMe/DC Project to keep the promise of freedom alive.
Shotgun with Charlie.
I'm Charlie Cook from Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Conversations in the car about gun safety, freedoms, and even a few laughs. Imagine you're in the back seat listening to an intimate chat with me and my passengers as we drive all around the country. Listen, watch, and subscribe to the Riding Shotgun with Charlie YouTube channel and podcast.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl/mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
Hi, this is Paul Lathrop from the Polite Society podcast. I wanted to let you know that the show you're listening to is a proud member of the Self-Defense Radio Network. You can check out all the shows on the network by going to selfdefenseradio.net or tune in for more on Self-Defense Mondays on Karma Radio, krmaradio.com.
Okay, so we are back, and with us, this is our guest segment, and we are absolutely thrilled to have John Petrolino on the line with us. And John Petrolino is a writer for Bearing Arms. He writes for AmmoLand, and I have to say, and in one of his writings recently, he quoted Chicken Little. So you can't get any better than that right there. So John Petrolino, thanks for joining us.
Hello, Amanda. Hello, Rob. Thank you so much for having me. How are you guys?
Oh, we are absolutely great. But I absolutely adore your writing because you never quite know what you're going to find. And so there's these little gems hidden inside.
It's this 5-year-old proofreader that does it for him.
Oh, I just thought it was his...
Right. I think recently you said that was, end quote, cute. To some of my styling.
Some of your stuff is just is adorable. Some of it's funny. Some of it is I was going back in because I invited you to come on, and between your schedule and my schedule, it always takes us a while to get you on. And then it was like, okay, what were the stories? And I know that the messaging back and forth to you was, oh, look at this. You used Chicken Little in your article, and that just absolutely cracked me up. But the things that you write, I mean, I love that you are a fan of those who are fighting for the Second Amendment, and you showcase them every opportunity. And I know that last week we had a story about our friend Craig Fritz, who had gone to his local grocery store and found out that because of Ohio's concealed carry, constitutional carry change, that the Myers with a J grocery store, they put no gun signs on their store, and so Craig was somewhat distressed by that. He started to do some research, as did some of his friends, and found things were not all that they seemed to be in the happy land of the grocery store will protect you. So then this week I hear that you are interviewing Craig to do a feature article. So can you give my audience a scoop on how that's going?
Okay, so to update everyone on that is I did get to talk to Craig a little bit. Great guy. Gave me some really good, valuable intel and everything. And I do need to circle back with him to discuss a couple more things. But right now, where we're at is I've established contact with the grocery chain and have gone up the chain of command, and I've written their top people. So I am waiting to hear back. And granted, my correspondence went out to them on like a Friday afternoon, so I'm sure they were in love with my dear sirs, I want to know what your policy is on how you plan on protecting your customers when there's so many people getting stabbed and shot in the parking lots of your grocery stores now that you have this no guns allowed policy. Care to speak to that? And that's kind of what they got from me on a Friday afternoon when they're getting ready, to enjoy the weekend. So, like, I'll give them until tomorrow, business days end, before I really start to finalize a draft on this. But I think there's some very important concepts that were brought up by Craig that I brought up back to them again. And Craig had provided me with his correspondence to the stores, to the chain. And that's what, really first drew my attention to, hey, I want to talk to them too. And, because he sent the message, they sent back their kind of customary response. I got that customary response, though, but it was also... Yeah,
the pat you on your little head and tell you it's all going to be just fine.
And send you on your way, right. So they did give me email addresses for the next level. So the inner Karen of, I want to speak to the manager. That's who I'm talking to. So we're going to find out what happens, and I'm going to give them ample room to say their piece. But I made it quite clear that, hey, are you willing to own the safety of your customers? Because if you're not, kind of morally reprehensible, in my opinion. Which I could say that in my opinion, in
my opinion, there you go. The interesting part is that Craig, after he put it out there, some other people did some research, and then other people did some research, and then pretty soon news articles got posted. So then Craig went back and reconnected with them to say, oh, by the way, your employees have gotten stabbed inside your stores. How are you going to do that? So he says, when I talked to the gal and told her that employees had been stabbed, she was decidedly concerned because guess what? She's inside the store. She's an employee, right? So all of a sudden, it's not the customers that are in jeopardy. It is everybody and their stand. So thank you very much for embracing that, because I think it's interesting. I have to say it's somewhat entertaining when you have something like that to go down through all of the steps, because in most cases, as you peel the onion, you find out that their answer at the end is, I didn't think of that.
So, right. I gave them plenty to think about over the weekend, I'll tell you that much.
There you go. And I love the fact that they're handing over email addresses like, this is above my pay grade, here you go, talk to them.
It really went down like that. I did get that automated, our policy, here's some other people to talk to. So I was like, all right, that's a win. And I made it clear to them, I'm a freelancer. I don't speak on behalf of Amelin. I don't speak on behalf of Bearing Arms. So whatever I write, there's always editorial, room there, so I made that clear, but I bet you if I write about this, it's gonna go to print.
Oh, yeah. It'll get printed, right? Exactly.
Sure.
So our listeners have heard the story that we went down this with Boston Market, and this Ohio Boston Markets had a policy, a no-gun policy, and the higher I went up the chain of command, then we had the higher I went up the chain of command, the more that they kept saying, well, it's our company policy. And it was like, well, no, Texas doesn't have this, and neither does Florida. So it's just an Ohio policy. And so my husband was very relieved that by the end they decided to go to the upper levels of corporate and readdress that. And so he could then once again eat at Boston Market and have meatloaf. Because prior to that, I would stand outside the store and say, nope, we're going someplace else.
They do have decent bowls. I'll toss that to them. The little bowls.
It was for him. It's all about the meatloaf. So if we were around, it was.
You put the meatloaf in the bowl. But it is Boston Market. What do you expect from a Massachusetts-themed place? We're going to squish your freedoms, of course.
Well, except the Florida version of it and the Texas version of it, still named Boston, didn't have the policy.
I mean, if they're going to squeeze your freedoms and over a meatloaf, that's dirty pool.
That really, it really is, right?
I'll toss you that much, sure.
Okay. So recently you wrote an article about the unobtainium of the New Jersey concealed carry license, because there was a dude that was marketing that you could just come to him and he would magically train you in a manner to where you could get a New Jersey concealed carry license. So tell us about that. How did that go?
Okay, so there was a company there that they were, and I got to make this really clear, and I have their prepared statement, because they did address some of what I talked about in my article as I was rolling it out to print. So people contacted them. So there was a company, it's called Concealed Coalition, and I don't know anything about them from, Peter to Paul. I just saw them online advertising in New Jersey on Facebook. And a number of people had reached out to me about these advertisements. And the advertisements basically were talking about getting a New Jersey concealed carry permit, okay, which everybody that are speaking right now understands that you can't get one. It's impossible to get one unless you're politically connected or, you could get them posthumously delivered to you. So a lot of people found the advertising to be disingenuous. So I went down the road of contacting them multiple ways, and I went to, their customer service representatives via, Facebook, talked to their customer service representatives on the telephone. I talked to them on the telephone again like a manager, and then I ended up reaching out to the lead instructor who forwarded me to their communications department to put a request in with them. And I put in a request with them. I said, I want to talk to this guy about these policies. And they're like, oh, no, we can't have him talk to you about the policies, but we're happy to give you a statement. And I'm like, I don't want a artfully crafted statement. I want somebody to talk to me about this on the record, recorded, so it can be released. And they declined to do that. So what they did do, though, is they did send out a statement right before I went to press talking about how that there was a mistake. There was an internal communication error resulted in the circulation of false information in the replies to some of their comments on a few of our ads. And they go on and they explain it. So if you go to ammoland.com/author/J Petrolino III, you'll see the article about getting the New Jersey concealed carry permit and training. Are we going to commercial?
We're going to commercial, so hang on. So
okay.
you guys stay tuned or go to AmmoLand and look for that article.
Honest citizens like you protect themselves every day. We talk about it every week on the Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast. Were these gun owners lucky, or did they have a plan? How should we defend the people we love? We discuss recent examples on the Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast. Put us in your pocket.
Hi, I'm Janelle Westrom, owner of Davenport Guns and Davenport Shooting Club. At Davenport Guns, we do so much more than sell firearms. We advocate for increased personal safety and security, not just for you, but your whole family and community. Go to davenportguns.com to see our online inventory and browse videos, articles, and things we just find entertaining. Sign up for our newsletter to learn more.
This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio, and I am proud to join Amanda Seppacool and all the 50 women, one from each state, in our grassroots efforts to protect the Second Amendment as delegates of the DC Project. Grassroots organizations like the DC Project run on donations, so please consider donating to our GoFundMe/DC Project to keep the promise of freedom alive.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl/mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Shotgun with Charlie.
I'm Charlie Cook from Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Conversations in the car about gun safety, freedoms, and even a few laughs. Imagine you're in the back seat listening to an intimate chat with me and my passengers as we drive all around the country. Listen, watch, and subscribe to the Riding Shotgun with Charlie YouTube channel and podcast.
When people use a firearm in self-defense, they could be arrested or sued and face extensive legal costs. Firearms Legal Protection provides uncapped legal defense for any member who uses a legal weapon in defense of themselves or others, providing members with peace of mind in these difficult situations by covering all attorney fees and other benefits. Use code EOTT at firearmslegal.com for a discount on all membership plans. Protect yourself. We'll protect you.
Okay, so we are back, and with us is our guest, John Petrolino. And John is a New Jersey-based writer for Bearing Arms and Ammo Land. And so there are so many things that he writes that just resonate with me. I have to say that I probably feature a Petrolino article between him and Tom Knighton. Those are like the two guys that, as they write something, it's like they think like I think. And so this is ridiculous, whatever this is. Yeah, it ought to scare them. I'm just saying. There's probably a spot where they ought to be very, very afraid that they're going to grow up to be just like Amanda. So John, recently you wrote an article about the inner conflicts between the FBI and the ATF.
Yes.
So pitch to our folks a little bit of that, because we're always interested in what the government, who's here to help us and who's here to protect our gun rights, we're always interested in what they have to say and what they're doing.
That is also over at AmmoLand. So if you go over to AmmoLand and then /author J Petrolino III, you'll find it over there. Or you could go to my Facebook page, The Pen Patriot, and I've got everything aggregated there. So I was looking at some, case documents about a lawsuit that is going on, and the long and the short of it is there's like a couple of plaintiffs. I can't remember how many of them there are, but they're basically suing the government, saying, "Hey, we're trying to get our approval for our tax stamps for our suppressors, and there was a problem with the NICS check." So now, the way this all goes down is the NICS check was designed, invented, and created to fulfill aspects of the Brady Bill, right? So to fulfill those checks for that handgun control bill. And so that's what it was created for, so that we can go and buy our handguns and our long guns with a background check. Now, the ATF leans on the FBI in the way of utilizing the NICS check for their background checks. Mm-hmm. Well, what will happen is the FBI, so if you and I are going to go fill out a 4473, we're going to do our background check and go through all of that to purchase a firearm, the FBI NICS check is going to say, sell this person a gun or don't sell this person a gun, right? They're going to make a clear statement on the eligibility of that person to buy the firearm or not. Well, in this case, what happens is the FBI, since they're kind of not the ones really responsible for the actual background check, it's the ATF, the FBI will make what's called a recommendation. So it's like, well, what's the difference? You can say, well, I don't recommend this guy, or I do recommend this guy. Well, the difference lies in here. With all of that, what do they say is, statistically speaking, 9 times out of 10, the NICS denials are wrong, right? They're faulty denials.
They're false.
Basically 10% of the denials that people get through NICS actually are worthwhile, where it's like, okay, we actually stopped somebody that's not supposed to have a firearm, according to law. Well, in this case with the ATF, if they say, okay, they got this recommendation from the FBI to not sell this firearm accessory suppressor to get the approval for the tax stamp. Well, what about the appeal? So they said, well, we're appealing this because we are able to purchase and own firearms and suppressors and all these things. So now the ATF is going to the FBI to say, hey, we need your help. This guy is appealing this, so I think you should handle this. This is your system. And there was a back and forth, and that's what the whole crux of this lawsuit's all about. Basically, the ATF is saying, hey, you need to handle this. This is your system. And the FBI is saying, this is your problem, and this is your paperwork, and this is your tax stamp, and you're the one that needs to figure out how to deal with the appeals process. And they had a pissing contest over this, and there's the letter. So when I'm looking through these case documents, I'm reading these letters, and I'm like, holy moly, mom and dad are fighting, and one of them's clearly winning. And so where they're at is like the plaintiffs that were suing Uncle Sam over this, they have not been issued their tax stamps yet or anything like that, but they did get quote unquote approval from the ATF, but it was moreover a just move along, there's nothing to see here, and just to kind of moot the situation. But the lawsuit is still valid, and there's still a valid injury claim there with suing them.
Well, and that makes so much sense, because it's sort of like that ties to the Fix the NICS thing. that ties to the studies that Dr. John Lott has done about the false denials for people, because what happens is that they typically find that the false denials happen in more like underserved communities. So if there is somebody who's got a similar name to yours that is a felon, then all of a sudden you're also denied. And so when you're working with those denials, then you live in a community where you have a denial because of his name, and guess what? There's probably Rob Campbell.
I know the more credentials that I would get in that field, the longer it took for them to give me the okay to buy stuff.
And the more common your name is. So I never really got the denials that you got, but even though you've had the background checks, you've got the concealed carry license, you had an FFL, you'd been fingerprinted, they still said, well, there's enough Rob Campbells out there that do bad things, that the Rob Campbell who didn't do bad things doesn't get to own a gun or
guilt by association
of name, right? And so that is, there has to be a way to fix it. And so there's all kinds of stuff happening in that. So it's really interesting that you're bringing this piece of it up, because you also see that, there's the group trying to say fix NICS. There's the group that is just trying to say, well, for every denial, they need to go back in those denials and they need to research and investigate every one of them. Well, since 90% shouldn't have been denials in the first place, they need to research their own self instead of the dude that they denied. But that's not necessarily what's going to happen. So there's a whole lot of give and take on that. Do you foresee some more articles that go tied into that article because of that?
I'm going to continue to follow the lawsuit. So, and I think that's going to be where it takes me for sure. As we all know, there's like a gigantic struggle right now dealing with the ATF and also dealing with the Americans, the public at large, and let's say less than savory things have been going on. And it's going to take quite a few court cases to, I think, normalize the relationship with the people in the ATF again, where, and the FRT is a perfect example of a lawsuit or a case that, might set a lot of precedent in dealing with how the ATF is allowed to behave, because they are, I would say, kind of a runaway train right now.
They're way more than a runaway train. It's the runaway train. The bridge is out. They have crashed, and they just keep sending more and more trains down that track.
If you look, it's been that way for years. I mean, even clear back to Bush Sr., they were having so much train action.
They're train action. They're trying very hard right now.
Polite. Yeah.
Yeah, they're trying very hard right now to nominate a Cleveland-based guy for the ATF. And we'll just say that my Cleveland-based folks are going, no, 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 no. So John Petrolino, we're up at the top of the hour. I have to say thank you very much. Folks, check him out.
Okay,
John Petrolino, Bearing Arms.
Who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
When people use a firearm in self-defense, they could be arrested or sued and face extensive legal costs. Firearms Legal Protection provides uncapped legal defense for any member who uses a legal weapon in defense of themselves or others, providing members with peace of mind in these difficult situations by covering all attorney fees and other benefits. Use code EOTT at firearmslegal.com for a discount on all membership plans. Protect yourself. We'll protect you.
SRN program begins in 60 seconds. Your SRN program begins in 30 seconds.
Shooter standby.
You hit the radio bullseye. And the home for everything Second Amendment, concealed carry, the latest gear, reciprocity, legislation, the right to self-protection, and it shall not be infringed. This is Eye on the Target Radio with your hosts, Rob and Amanda.
So, hey, folks, thanks for tuning in. Hour 2 of Eye on the Target Radio. You know we're multimedia, so there are a variety of different ways. When somebody says, how do I catch the show? I've just caught it this time. How do I catch your show? We are on the radio. We're on the internet. We are podcast. So there's those things. We are also on TV, on-demand TV on OpsLens. OpsLens is available through Facebook. It is available through an app on your on either both your iPhone or your Android, and it is available on all of your smart TVs, so Roku, Apple TV, and Fire TV. So all of those kinds of things you can find Eye on the Target Radio. Isn't that amazing? Amazing that there's people that want to see us every different direction, every
Party
different
on,
way.
Wayne.
Right. So some of this is, when I told Rob that we were first going to do this and we're going to do TV, and he's like, what do we do on TV? I was like, well, we're just going to sit there and talk. And he's like, who wants to watch that? Well, last week on one of the venues, just one of the venues, 7,300 people wanted to watch that.
Back in the 80s, I think it was, maybe the 70s even.
Right.
We used to watch Saturday Night Live, and there was a skit about the Great White North, and they were trying to figure out how to get free beer.
Okay.
It was Bob and Doug McKenzie. They were actually pretty funny. That's immediately what I thought of when you said we're going to be on TV.
So there you go. You're like, okay, what are we doing next? Right? There is that.
Talk about Stranger Brew, that's us.
What are we doing next? Well, there's now a lot of things that happen via TV or via the computers, because computers have now brought you to places and places to you. And so you can be involved in a Zoom meeting, and for some place that's clear across the country if you want to or need to, so you can tune in, you can watch, you can participate. There's all of that kind of stuff. So right now, here's an opportunity to reach out. Just reach out and touch another place if you want to. There is going to be a hearing for the Denver City Council Safety, Housing, Education, and Homelessness Committee that is trying to vote in Denver to ban concealed carry. Right?
Well, in certain places. So
just certain, well,
that's pretty much inside
the thing
the city
is once you start to ban it in this place and that place, and then you have a spot where people are either handling their guns way more than they need to, or they leave it at home because it's too much trouble, or you're saying that, guess what, if you happen to work at the city park, if you happen to work at a building that's owned by the city, even though it is, even though your company rents it, you're not allowed to carry there. This is the proposal. It's not done, but it's the proposal. So any place that is owned by, leased by, or leased to the city. So you have to find out, excuse me, who's the landlord? who pays the property taxes on this building before I can identify whether or not I can step foot over the threshold. I find that exceedingly ridiculous. So there is an opportunity that you can tune in if you want to, potentially. We'll see if they actually take public comments. There is always, remember in Zoom, there's always the little type your comments to the side kind of thing.
I think it says you sign up to 90 minutes prior and you can
sign up to
be a public
speak.
speaker.
So the interesting part is that you have to be very polite and you have to use only the words that that your mother allowed you to use when you went to Sunday school, because you're not allowed to call them names and say rude things. But you are allowed to say what you want to say. So I'm going to send you to AmmoLand. Once again, this seems to be the week of featuring AmmoLand. I'm going to send you to AmmoLand so that you can find the link, because I can tell you about it because it's radio. But on AmmoLand, there's an article saying Denver, City Council voting to ban concealed carry. Read the article, get the link, and stay tuned. But that's going to happen on Wednesday at 10:30 Denver time. So maybe they want to, yeah. So my video producer says George Carlin isn't invited to Zoom meetings for Denver. No, you really cannot be. There's certain words you cannot say, because guess what? If you want somebody to pick it up and run with what you say, when they have to say bleep, diddy bleep, diddy bleep, 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 it kind of loses a lot of the context.
Well, maybe you could write it just the way that you phrase it so that it comes out in Morse code the same way you...
Maybe. So but you can use creative words. I find that's a crock of cheese is acceptable terminology to something that we all have used the word bunk or other words that your mother says you can't say about. And that still accomplishes what you want to accomplish. But really the thing is tune in, show up, virtual or in person, but make a statement. Get involved. We have to. Because you're seeing these as pushbacks to these other articles. And the other articles are that Nebraska is trying to be very number 26 on constitutional carry.
Right, we went 23, 4, 5 right away, and now they're taking a break, and they're coming back at it again.
Last night I was at dinner. I was at a big meeting, and the guy that I sat next to, he was like, constitutional carry, what do you think about that? And I said, well, considering that in the last 2 weeks, states number 22, 23, 24, and 25 all passed constitutional carry. He's like, you're kidding, right? I said, no, it's a big wave that's going across the country. He's like, my news reporter didn't say that. Imagine. Maybe he needs a new news reporter, because your news reporter has told you these things are happening. Nebraska's coming next. Stay tuned. They are really, really, really pushing for it. They only have a pretty small window before their legislative session ends, but they're trying hard for it. Florida is another that is trying to call a special session so that they can do something with it. Wouldn't that be amazing to get state number 26 and number 27 so that we went from 21 to 27, zoom, boom. That would be great.
We're waiting for 39 and 40, and then possibly we'll get a national concealed carry.
I know, but see, Ohio, we've always waited for Ohio to be number 40, and it surpassed that expectation.
Well, I don't have any paperwork to say it, but I've seen that Mr. Hogg is making the news again, and he's supposed to be going to the White House Monday to talk with the president.
They're going to make a statement. You want to take a bet on what the statement's going to be?
Well, I believe it's authorized an attack on ghost guns and on other homemade guns without serial numbers. They're two vilified things this week.
Now, see, I honestly believe that it will instead be that they're going to do the nomination and talk about the ATF director. So it's interesting. Do you know that there's an article? I have not. I think I picked up pieces of it, but not. There's a snippet of information that says that the data that they used for ghost guns is not really true data, that nobody can verify it, and that it is...
Well, and that's part of the argument, is there's no numbers for them to track that because there's no numbers. So
there's no numbers. So here's what we want to do. This is actually an article, that's where I got it. This is an article, again, on AmmoLand, written by Charlie Cook. And so we are going to put out an invitation to Charlie Cook to see if we can get him on the show so that he can talk about this, because I think it's really extremely interesting that somebody... Remember when Nancy Pelosi did that thing about the political schmear thing where they make a statement and it's bunk, but then they send it to somebody who publishes it, and then somebody else quotes them, and then all of a sudden it becomes, it has legs. And that is what I think has happened here. And so it will be very, very interesting to see if it can get verified. And so the unverified data is the issue, is the question. And like I said, we will invite Charlie Cook in the next couple of weeks, because he's got a crazy schedule. So I don't know if I can get him on a Sunday night, but we'll very much try. So hold on to this one, because that's coming back around. What else you got?
Well, I was just in awe that they say 41% of the guns that the police are collecting are ghost guns. I look at guns every day, and there's no 41% that I see in the general public out there.
It's sure. Out there swimming in circulation.
not as common as you would expect.
No, and so is it one specific area? Is it one specific thing, or is it that they've got one blind guy who can't read the serial numbers, and so that is it? Nope.
There's no number on it.
Wait, hold it out a little further, please, there, Mildred, and let's see if I can see the number. We'll be right back.
Honest citizens like you protect themselves every day. We talk about it every week on the Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast. Were these gun owners lucky, or did they have a plan? How should we defend the people we love? We discuss recent examples on the Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast. Put us in your pocket.
Hi, I'm Janelle Westrom, owner of Davenport Guns and Davenport Shooting Club. At Davenport Guns, we do so much more than sell firearms. We advocate for increased personal safety and security, not just for you, but your whole family and community. Go to davenportguns.com to see our online inventory and browse videos, articles, and things we just find entertaining. Sign up for our newsletter to learn more.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit projectchildsafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Hi, this is Paul Lathrop from the Polite Society podcast. I wanted to let you know that the show you're listening to is a proud member of the Self-Defense Radio Network. You can check out all the shows on the network by going to selfdefenseradio.net or tune in for more on Self-Defense Mondays on Karma Radio, krmaradio.com.
This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio, and I am proud to join Amanda Seppacool and all the 50 women, one from each state, in our grassroots efforts to protect the Second Amendment as delegates of the DC Project. Grassroots organizations like the DC Project run on donations, so please consider donating to our GoFundMe/DC Project to keep the promise of freedom alive.
When people use a firearm in self-defense, they could be arrested or sued and face extensive legal costs. Firearms Legal Protection provides uncapped legal defense for any member who uses a legal weapon in defense of themselves or others, providing members with peace of mind in these difficult situations by covering all attorney fees and other benefits. Use code EOTT at firearmslegal.com for a discount on all membership plans. Protect yourself. We'll protect you.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl / mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.eyeonthetargetradio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.eyeonthetargetradio.com for Rust is Bad.
Folks, we are back, and we ran out of time, but I'm telling you, I wanted to ask John Petrolino his opinion of this, and that is that they have the news has been screaming about the Sacramento shooting, and that Sacramento shooting was a mass killing, and that we need to take action and restrict guns. Well, one, California has some of the most stringent gun control laws there are. The second thing is that the people that they have arrested, they've identified at least 5 gunmen, and there may be more. They have arrested 2 of them, and when they arrested those 2, they have found that both of them are prohibited people. So what's prohibited people mean?
Well, they have a felony or some other thing against them that says they're not allowed to own a gun.
So imagine. So there's already laws that say you can't have a gun, but you have a gun. The one was in jail, had a 10-year sentence, was released at 3 years on good behavior, and is now involved in and was.
Well, they're saying that the thing is that it's not that just a random shooting of people just shoot. It was 2 gangs that were shooting it out, and those people just happened to incidentally be in the middle of it.
Okay. So were the people that were shot, were they members of the gang, or they just happened to be people that were there?
They're not really. They're not really too clear in this article.
Okay.
I mean, they say names aren't particularly relevant right now, even in the investigation of the gangs that they were going after.
That's kind of crazy, because it should be, but we're seeing
the 2 brothers that were wounded in the gunfire that they actually did pick up. They're only been charged. They only face firearms charges. So the 6 dead people and the 12 wounded
haven't done anything with that yet.
Right. And the others, they're expecting there's 5 other gunmen out there, but 2 different gangs that were, they shot about 100 shots, they figure.
But they don't, once again, as I sit at dinner, somebody's like, my news reporter doesn't tell me this. So the thing is that that's what is not coming out. Though.
Well, that's the thing, too. If you take a concealed carry class, if your instructor has any idea of what's going on.
What?
As I was going to say, other words. But
you're not going to use those words. Right. Got it. Okay.
It's not you and someone else who's shooting it out. It's 2 other people shooting it out, and you're just lumpy-dump through the middle of it with your shopping cart, not paying attention to what's going on.
And then all of a sudden something bad happens.
Right.
Right. And
so if you expand your circle of influence 20, 30 feet.
Your awareness, so that you're aware of what, and so you're not just walking through or into something, or if something looks kind of interesting or sketchy
Right.
or
This article
flaky or
says
whatever.
gangs are notoriously ambivalent about collateral damage from their feuds. How many innocent victims were snuffed out because of their gangbangers had to get revenge? Mothers, fathers, children, none have been spared from their lack of give a damn or about the pain
That they cause. Exactly. So this is I told John Petrolino that there's two authors that I read pretty much everything that they write, and Tom Knighton is one of them. And so this is Tom Knighton's spin on this, and I say that because there's so many different people that are publishing, but he really kind of touches on what is going on and gets to the heart of it. And so maybe at some point we'll have to have Tom Knighton on the show too. What do you think?
Right. It says the police say at least 2 gangs are involved, but they decline to provide more details or name the gangs involved in.
Right. They're not. So it's a current investigation, and we get that. But by the time the information that is pertinent to the public gets out, they'll have forgotten that this Sacramento thing happened. And
if you take St. Valentine's Day Massacre and then you watch what Hogg and President Biden have to say Monday, you'll see that this is going to be their
they're going to drive this
pin to try to make something happen, even though, as you can see here, it's clearly gang related and something needs to be done with the gang.
We need to address the gangs and recidivism on crimes, right? So my producer says it's one of the gangs, the Democratic Party of California. At this point, no one's saying. The information is unclear. So, we've got the crystal ball out and everything is murky. But no, let's talk about St. Valentine's Day Massacre a little bit, because it legitimately was used as an opportunity to enact gun control on something that didn't have anything to do with the controls that they tried to put in place.
They had already had the legislation written out before it happened. They were
waiting.
For the right particular thing to come along to.
And so St. Valentine's Day Massacre was actually gang related. It was mafia related. And it was 2 warring factions in Chicago that were fighting. And when the one warring faction came into the clubhouse of the second warring faction, they were dressed as police officers in a stolen police car. So they just thought, this is the same drill that happens to them. It's Tuesday.
They get arrested. Out a couple hours and let it go.
So the police come in, and the first thing they all do is stand up, turn their backs, face the wall, put their hands behind their back, and wait to be handcuffed. Because this is the drill. That's what happened. And instead, they got Tommy gunned. So they were murdered right there by someone that they perceived to be a police officer. And they were murdered with guns that were stolen through the U.S. Postal Service as part of it. So it was murder, which is already illegal, theft of firearms, which is already illegal, driving a stolen police car, which is already illegal, acting as a police officer when you're not a police officer, it's already illegal. So all of those kind of things. And then they're like, see, this is why we need more gun control.
That's how it happens. The 68 Gun Control Act was written years before. I mean, if you go back through some of the gun magazines, 61, 62, you can see where they had already written a lot of it out. When JFK was killed, they pushed it hard. They couldn't get traction. Once later on. And,
so it was JFK, then it was Robert F. Kennedy and Martin Luther King.
Right, when those two got killed at the same time, that was the thing that was allowed to help push the Congress to action. And
because somebody's got to do something, anything, and we've got to do it now. Now's the time to take action. So stay tuned, pay attention. You gotta watch the little hog kid in order to hear what's happening, as much as it makes you want to retch. We'll be back right after this.
Grab your friends and head to Georgia to train with the Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant offers a unique approach to self-defense training, layering the first signs of danger, lethal versus non-lethal decisions, and even surviving the aftermath. They offer premier firearms training with a range master certified instructor and host the top minds in our industry. See the courses offered on thecompletecombatant.com. That's thecompletecombatant.com.
When people use a firearm in self-defense, they could be arrested or sued and face extensive legal costs. Firearms Legal Protection provides uncapped legal defense for any member who uses a legal weapon in defense of themselves or others, providing members with peace of mind in these difficult situations by covering all attorney fees and other benefits. Use code EOTT at firearmslegal.com for a discount on all membership plans. Protect yourself. We'll protect you.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough? Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl / mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.eyeonthetargetradio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.eyeonthetargetradio.com for Rust is Bad.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit projectchildsafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Shotgun with Charlie.
I'm Charlie Cook from Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Conversations in the car about gun safety, freedoms, and even a few laughs. Imagine you're in the back seat listening to an intimate chat with me and my passengers as we drive all around the country. Listen, watch, and subscribe to the Riding Shotgun with Charlie YouTube channel and podcast.
Okay, so we are back, and here's an interesting thing, a really interesting thing, is that March of 2022 firearms sales, the NICS checks for the 2022 March are the third highest on record. Isn't that the most amazing thing that you've seen? Because it really is that firearms and firearm sales, they're not slowing down.
Do they count in there all the, whatever, $400,000 worth of Kel-Tec guns they sent to the Ukraine and everything?
Nope, they're not counting that. They're only doing NICS checks, which means that there's also states that the more the states have concealed carry, a lot of them are using your concealed carry license as a background check.
All the stuff I buy doesn't fit in.
It doesn't show up, and so
I try, folks.
You try to up those are rookie numbers, up those numbers, rookie numbers. No, but I mean, so it just says that more and more people are buying firearms. They're participating in the shooting sports from all different aspects of it, whether they are hunting or learning to hunt.
What that means is more or less that there's no ammo.
Yeah. Okay. So
if you can find a gun, great, but you're probably not going to find bullets for it.
Listen to you. So there is a spot where when you see ammo, you probably need to. You know how your stockbroker tells you that you can't buy on the highs and the lows because you cannot do that, and you just need to buy it on the average. So it's like every week you've got some money, buy some ammo. You want to buy ammo the same way you buy stock. Just buy it on a weekly basis. It'll dollar cost average out, and then it'll be reasonable.
And by next week, you forgot that you bought some, so you'll buy more.
Oh, exactly. And then then your husband will come in and say, "Where did all this ammo come from?" And I'm like, "What?
Mind your own business."
I didn't. I can't say mind your own business. It is his business. It is his. Well, we're just saying it used to be.
What's the old thing? Well, maybe what are you doing? Writing a book?
I'm just going to say it is his pantry, and that's used to be where my
wife's so good. As long as I don't put it on the kitchen counter or the kitchen table, it doesn't matter what I got, as long as it ain't in her way.
Just keep it out of my way. No, I fully understand that too, because when I open the dishwasher and I find car parts in there, it really kind of cranks me just a little bit. And his answer is, "What? I washed it after." No, well, so I mean, yeah. He says the dishwasher with a couple of those little pellet things does really good on car parts.
Well, I was here when he was trying to bend some plexiglass in the oven too one day. So.
Yeah, that. We're just gonna say that stunk. Right? There's sometimes the adventures in the Suffolk household are probably not exactly what the what's that little sticker that you get on your toaster that tells you that you're not going to get electrocuted? The
UL label.
The UL label. Yeah, I don't know that they know Bob Suffolk.
Well, they have to have somebody like him so that they got a baseline to work against.
I don't know that there is another somebody like him. Life with him is absolutely an adventure, and we'll just say. But I try to be respectful to his space, at the same time realizing that he lives in the house, and so he's allowed to bake his plexiglass in the oven if he so desires.
I remember the time he was trying to make his belt buckle or whatever that was, and he was melting aluminum cans with this little blast furnace that he made. And for some reason, the blast furnace had ate a hole in the side of itself, so all the aluminum kept leaking out, and he couldn't figure out where it was going.
Right. So this puddle, there was a puddle over there. Now, I had to put my foot down when he wanted to bring a car in through the French doors because he needed to lift it up, and he thought that the beam that holds the lights in the kitchen should be strong enough to be able to do that. No. That was a no. Just so we arranged for him to buy another beam to mount in the garage, so that I didn't have to fear leaving home.
Everything's just normal,
right? He was like,
all the listeners got the same exact kind of drama.
No. When you come home and you find him measuring the French doors to see if his car will fit, no, you're not driving on the carpet. I don't have a lot of lines, but that one's a line. that is a line. But okay, don't start me down this path. Our listeners will get to know more about the oddity that is the Suffolk household than they really want to know.
Well, what do you want to talk about next? Here's one of the guy that runs France.
Oh, okay.
He's very un-American, I guess we say.
Well, President Emmanuel Macron, right? Okay, so
apparently there was a farmer with a 3-year-old daughter that were being robbed by 4 different robbers coming in the house. So the farmer used his rifle and killed one of the robbers, and so now this is happening in France.
Right.
So Macron is condemning the use of the deadly force by the farmer, and they're trying him for murder, because everyone must be safe in France, and public authorities have to ensure it.
But I'm opposed to self-defense. So, but the public authorities didn't ensure the farmer nor his daughter's safety. But he's just opposed.
Well, it
to
only goes by
self-defense.
one guy versus the other. So that's here's another interesting thing. I mean, with what we had going on with Trump and everything, patriotism is the exact opposition of nationalism, and nationalism is a betrayal of patriotism. So.
By putting your own interests first with no regard for others, we erase the very thing that our nation holds dearest and the thing that keeps it alive, its moral values. Huh? Okay. So instead, if you want to be moral, you just let the dudes kill you.
Right. So, but
right.
It says here, if you're for your country, you've been officially deemed a traitor. We're getting to that spot here in the U.S. too.
It really is an interesting place that we're going, but a really interesting place. The thing is that when they say that you have a God-given right, I mean, we have a right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And that really is that. And so the human condition says that you should have the ability to defend your very life. So says the gazelles get to run. You know, the porcupine everybody has something that they can fight back with. And the human being has a mind, and that mind created a firearm, and the firearm is now an extension of your personal defense plan.
Much better than the gazelles running or the porcupine's quills by the long shot.
Right, exactly. But it really is. It is just
the problem is we have to go through the courts to prove it again, instead of where they realized that when Sam Colt made everyone equal, they said.
Right. But the fact that they're saying that you do not have a right to self-defense, that is why it is so critical that we're watching constitutional carry happen places. We're watching the states' rights things because on the U.S. on the federal level, that's the direction that they're trying to take it, and the states are pushing it backwards and pushing back against it.
Well, it is funny because you see, like you say, on the federal level one way, on the state level another. What is it? The stand your ground laws also are something that is moving on the state level, but not too popular on the federal level. And then the other, what's the one?
The red flags.
No, the ones Ohio has where you're head of household or something who can be you can defend your home and your car, but you can't just defend your property or your outbuilding or anything like this. And in Ohio, it's kind of a bizarre law that we have.
I have to think. It's not preemption.
But
preemption is a different piece.
Right.
I don't know what word you're looking for.
Anyhow, it's getting more and more traction. So a lot of places, they start out going for this thing that Ohio has, and then they'll step into this stand your ground to where anywhere you're at is your spot and you can defend it. So it's getting better. It's just how long does it take, and how can you live through
the time frame, the backing up, the wheels of justice grind slow and fine. Is that how that goes?
Right.
Man, oh man, oh man.
So, anyhow, Wisconsin governor, he vetoes 2 pro-gun bills, and
okay, so the governor, Tony Evers, has disagreed with the state legislature and the law-abiding gun owners that they represent, the state legislature represents, by vetoing Assembly Bill 495 and Assembly Bill 518. And so let's see, these 2 bills allows adults who are licensed to carry firearms to drive on the school grounds to pick up or drop off their students without first having to unload and store your gun. So they call it a gun-free zone, but like in Ohio, Castle Doctrine, that's the word.
Okay.
Like in Ohio, you can't get your gun your gun couldn't get out of the car in a school zone, but it could be in the car with you as long as you don't get out of the car. So the gun can't get out of the car. This bill is saying that you have to stop 100 feet down the road, unload, store your gun in the trunk, and then drive into the school, get little Joni and Bobby, and then go back out, stop, reload your gun. So the manipulation of your firearm while you're trying to do this in the road is probably much less safe than just leaving it where it's at.
And the second one is where they want.
We'll talk about it after.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Janelle Westrom, owner of Davenport Guns and Davenport Shooting Club. At Davenport Guns, we do so much more than sell firearms. We advocate for increased personal safety and security, not just for you, but your whole family and community. Go to DavenportGuns.com to see our online inventory and browse videos, articles, and things we just find entertaining. Sign up for our newsletter to learn more.
This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio, and I am proud to join Amanda Sefcool and all the 50 women, one from each state, in our grassroots efforts to protect the Second Amendment as delegates of the DC Project. Grassroots organizations like the DC Project run on donations, so please consider donating to our GoFundMe/DC Project to keep the promise of freedom alive.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl/mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.IamTheTargetRadio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.IamTheTargetRadio.com for Rust is Bad.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit ProjectChildSafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Grab your friends and head to Georgia to train with the Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant offers a unique approach to self-defense training, layering the first signs of danger, lethal versus non-lethal decisions, and even surviving the aftermath. They offer premier firearms training with a range master certified instructor and host the top minds in our industry. See the courses offered on thecompletecombatant.com. That's thecompletecombatant.com.
Okay, so we are back. And so the second, continuing this conversation about the Wisconsin governor, the second bill that was was rejected was universal recognition of concealed carry permits held by non-Wisconsin residents issued by another state. And so that is one of those things that Virginia, remember when Virginia did that, where they said we're no longer offering reciprocity to any other concealed carry license holders? And so they were like, so there, take that. And then immediately all the other states started to cancel the reciprocity back, and the Virginians started to have a little fit about it. And pretty soon the Attorney General's office was like, never mind, let's renegotiate all that. And so I believe that this is going to be where that ends up, because the other states are going to self-police, and they're going to, and they will spank Wisconsin just a little bit because of that. And they're going to call them cheeseheads. We'll decide. just say. So, there.
Okay, so we know President's doing something on Monday. We don't know what it is. I'm saying it's going to be in response to that shooting in
Sacramento.
Sacramento.
Mm-hmm.
You say it's because he has picked a new victim to be in charge of the ATF.
Right. So we're all going to have an opportunity to once again look in this guy's underwear.
Currently, the ATF does not have a...
They have an acting director. They've had an acting director for years and years and years,
right,
because we don't like anybody they pick. We really don't like
anybody
they
pick. Well, because they don't pick good people.
Right. They are picking to promote an anti-gun agenda instead of a pro-gun agenda.
Right.
And that doesn't make any sense.
Otherwise, they could give Massad Ayub that job.
Oh, wouldn't that be cool? I mean, that would absolutely be cool, because he understands the legal ramifications. That would be okay. We need to do a letter writing campaign. So you guys know who Massad Ayub is. So write a letter to Joe Biden and say that you'd like him to be nominated to be the ATF director, because I think it would be great. Right now, he's on the board of the Second Amendment Foundation. So Alan Gottlieb finds him worthy. If Alan Gottlieb finds him worthy, so too shall the rest of the world. Same. Right? Okay.
I think it'll take some of the sting out of somebody being in charge of that.
Okay, so this Devilback is a former United States attorney for the Northern District of Ohio. I didn't know that Ohio had districts that had attorneys.
Well,
right?
you just haven't broken enough laws to get into that system yet, apparently.
I had dinner last night with the Ohio Attorney General, and we didn't have a conversation about this. But we did have a conversation about the fact that periodically he is kicking the cheese out of the federal government when they overstep the bounds in states' rights, and I love that. But there is this. So we're going to stay tuned. We're going to watch this story emerge, because this guy is not our friend.
Moms demand action, and every time for gun safety seems to think he's an all right kind of guy. So
well, there you go. And if the red-shirted mommies like him, then he's got to be a good guy. Wait, that was said in sarcasm, Paul. Right? Can you tell? Can you tell? I'm just a little sarcasm? Just a little sarcasm.
Yeah, it's funny. Maryland has some new bills coming they're working on, and they're anti-gun bills. But the one is aimed at the unserialized frames and firearms.
Because unserialized guns is the biggest national disaster that we are facing. Everybody's jumping on board.
If you're the actual builder of that frame, then it's fine to be unserialized. But if you bought that frame and then you're just doing a little bit of work to it, their law splits that hair right there.
Okay, so wait. So if you build the frame, so if you cast it?
Because unserialized firearms, unless the builder makes the frame themselves. So if you machine it out of something, or you 3D print it, or whatever you do, then that's fine. But it's the fact that if you just bought one of these kits, which they name Polymer 80 as in the article.
Okay, yeah, because this is a John Crump article.
But then, too, if you don't, by March 1st of 2023, if you have not serialized your gun, then you have to have it destroyed.
So now here's the question. If I serialize it with ATF Stinks Bigley #1, do I have to register that? Or do I just serialize it?
Well,
so now it's no longer not serialized.
Well, if you build a new gun and you send it, you have to send it to ATF, and then they have to tell you where to serialize it.
I have to send them the gun, or I have to send them a picture of the gun, or I just tell them that
the whole frame, and then they tell you where the thing goes. But I don't know what the real. I've never done it.
Okay, we're gonna have to ask. I gotta know because I want to start a line of serial numbers and start with ATF Sucks Bigley.
Everybody is doing it. How long will that set the system back while they're trying to point out spots where you put serial numbers on?
Bingo!
I have a Let's Go Brandon gun with some. I don't even know what the number is, but
it's got a number. As long as you know one, you're good. You are good. And so there's others out there. I know that some of them are kind of cute, but
the other part of this is they have a second law that they were working on besides the ghost guns, and you had to, if you were a gun dealer, you had to have certain like bars on your windows, security screens, commercial grade doors, grates, and physical barriers. Then you had to put things up outside the bollards, outside to keep a car from ramming through your building. Also, you had to take all your firearms out of the cases and then lock them in a vault, safe, or room that meets the state's requirements every evening when you close the doors.
I can't even imagine.
So, but just to think of the sheer amount of time that takes, and also the wear and tear on moving them guns in and out every day.
Right.
So if you have a super, super nice gun and just handling it every day, moving it in and out of this thing, how much actual wear does that put on it that doesn't need to be?
Once again, it is. So it's going to the governor's desk for signature. It's titled. This is great. It's titled "Public Safety Licensed Firearms Dealers Security Requirements." Public safety. So no, why don't we do something about the criminals? Not about the store owners.
The other part of it was, first offense was a $1,000 fine. Second offense, they suspend your license. And in your third offense, they revoke your license. So if they suspend your license, how do you get to the third offense part?
Well, they suspend your license, and then you get to put all the stuff in, and then, last night, Rudy didn't put all the guns away, and now it's the third offense, and boom. So somebody want to buy a gun shop because this one's for sale real cheap because that guy can't open it. Right. It's once again, we're putting solutions in place for things that do not have a problem. And so they're making a solution to become the problem. Because really the problem is the criminals. So what are you doing about criminals? Oh yeah, I forgot. We're letting them out of jail early because we don't have enough jails.
I think America's time out chair romance is over. I think we're going to start seeing stiffer sentences.
We're going to have to. We're absolutely going to have to, because otherwise you're going to find out that there is so many businesses that cannot afford to stay in business with the restrictions and the additions and the things that are being put in place. The burdens on their business ownership will be immense, and it's one guy's decision as to how big is the vault, the safe, or the room that meets the state's requirements. It'll be interesting to see what those requirements really look like. So, folks, thanks for tuning in. We really appreciate it, and we will be back next week with another version of Eye on the Target Radio with Rob and Amanda.
You ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.